my life back. I promise you it's me, it's not you. Not a myth, but a fact. I don't wanna hurt you like that.
Hello, hello. And so it begins. So it begins. The Dance of the Dragons is officially underway. Hello, everybody. Let me stop this horrible music. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Back to the season finale. Season 1 is over for House of the Dragon. But let's jump in here and talk about it. A lot of people discussing a lot of things online. I see. I know it leaked early, so some people probably got spoiled. But now it's out. We can talk about it. I have a couple issues. Nothing nearly as bad as people were complaining online. But there are some questionable things. But anyways, episode 10, The Black Queen. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Feels like the end again here since the season's over. And we won't get another one until 2024, I believe. So we got a while. Hello, everybody. Hello, Carol Brown. There she is. I saw you tweeting. Diane Harris. Becky. Hello, Betrayed King. Nicole Warden. Chicken to Jail. Peach. What's up, Peach? Tom Bystander. What's up? Eric Cartman. Honey Barbecue Wings. Legal Jedi, hello, hello. Jackie, Voodoo Darling, AC Burson, LeVar, what's up? How you doing, man? Meg Paul, Seratano, Paula Rose, Artful Watcher, Channel. Yeah, we're going to talk about that channel, the accident thing, for sure. There is an issue with that because now they've done it twice, and I don't necessarily like that. I do like the, I like having characters with different layers and all that kind of stuff, but now there's like two big things that are now kind of accidental or misunderstandings, which, I'm fine with that to a degree because that's history. I'm sure a lot of wars have happened over misunderstandings, but it's kind of getting to where they're making a lot of excuses. I don't know. It's kind of weird. We'll talk about it though. I understand both sides of it. Aisha, how are you? I see ya. I'm sorry. Bob Fisher. I am Elementa P, Ungoliant, hello, hello, Paula Rose, Penn, Muse, Matt Tyler, Bob Fisher. All right, let me scroll down and get caught up here. What's up, Josh? How are you? Devil's Advocate. LC, how are you? Slim Genzi, Andrea. And there's Lucis, Will. And there's Nata. Will. Anyway, so let's go through it. And then we'll talk about some of the issues I think people are having problems with. Thank you, by the way, Miss Ava, for subscribing. LeVar Hollis, thank you, LeVar, for the super chat as well. For the two, I guess about 10 minutes ago. Okay, I don't know if my heart can take this dragon stress. I know. Hey, man, look, this is going to get a lot worse. I'm telling you. So R.I.P. Luke and Arax. I kind of call this, I think we kind of all figured this was going to happen as far as First Blood being in episode 10. So we got that right as far as, some minor prediction, not that it was, some big surprise or hard to read. Arax wanted some of that smoke screen. Yes. Arax did want the smoke. He did not want the smoke. He fucked around and he found out is the problem. So we'll talk about how, we'll talk about in that in a few minutes as far as, how, people are arguing about listening to how dragons listen and how they don't listen and all that kind of stuff. You've heard the phrase, a dragon is not a slave. We do have some accounts of Targaryens as far as dragons not listening to them at times. Danny, we have that as well. So we'll get to some of that as well. Let's see. Let me see here 1 second. There was something. Okay. So anyway, let's go through this real quick and we'll get to that stuff. The Black Queen, episode 10. So we have, obviously they open with Luke in the table room, and, he basically tells Rhaenyra when she walks in, he doesn't want Driftmark. He gets sick, getting on a boat, and he's not going to be a good heir to Driftmark because they're sailors and blah, blah, blah. And of course, we know he's not going to get to be heir anyway, but, really focused on him. You get a lot of good little moments there where they showed him and Rhaenyra, exchanging looks or whatever, the little close-up shots of him grabbing his hand, stuff like that. So we knew something was going on. Let's see. Rhaenys shows up, basically gives her the news from last episode that the king is dead. Her father obviously warns her that they crowned Aegon, told her the whole story basically. It's very similar to the books there, and all this makes her go into labor. labor early. It's described, I believe, as a month early, so about 4 weeks early, and forces her into labor, so that she will now blame the death of Visenya, which was her daughter. That was her daughter stillborn, on Allison as well, basically calling her a murderer, at least in the books. We'll see how they do in the show, but I'm assuming since they included that, and they took the time to show her mourning for her daughter and having the funeral and all that stuff. I'm sure it'd be something similar at least. Damon immediately wants to go to war. He's already plotting. He's like, but he's also assuming that she will, to defend her birthright and all that. But she's trying to remain level-headed, so I appreciate that to some degree. You want to get into the action, but it's showing her that her first duty is to keep the realm to some stability as queen. So, but Damon's attitude was a little off this episode, back and forth. It was just kind of felt out of place at times, especially the choke scene. We'll talk about that as well. But he seems a little distracted or detached. He's not going to Rhaenyra when she's in labor. Obviously, she's in pain. She's yelling. That castle's pretty damn big, so I don't know why she's in a room very close to the table room, but I guess she is. Anyway, so Daemon also, after this little scene, makes the Queen's Guard swear fealty to her again, with the threat of his dragon sitting there in their faces with Caraxes. And basically just confirming that they're not going to turn cloak or whatever, because there are going to be some issues with that. We won't get to any spoilers for season 2, but we do have some twins, let's just say. People may know that or not. With Eric coming over. So I like the shots when she was in brutal labor scene. Brutal. She did it herself. She wanted it out. It was horrible in every way, and I like how they intercut the shots of Syrax. When she was in pain, Syrax was screaming, all that kind of stuff. That was pretty cool. Brutal birth scene, though. And then, of course, that is, again, Visenya, their daughter, who's stillborn, same as in the books. But Daemon comes in. Prepares the funeral. They have the whole funeral. And he's walking on the beach, heartbroken, so he's kind of doing his own thing, kind of goes in his own world. So he's very emotional this episode. And the one scene seemed to stand out a little bit. We see Sir Eric come in. We talked about this last week. The twins. He comes from King's Landing to Dragonstone, and he brings Viserys' crown. So he smuggled it out and gives that to Daemon, who then crowns Rhaenyra. So she is now crowned queen. So this is you see her wearing her father's crown. And I think she wears it then, and then on the Otto Hightower scene where she's riding Syrax, which obviously that was going to fall off, I thought. But either way, it's all right, Bob. It's all right. My daughter's coming home. Sorry, so Reddit's going to bark a second. I hear her open the garage door. We have the first Black Council. They light up the table and start getting to work. And then Rhaenyra, again, Rhaena gives her wine. I was going to say Rhaena and Baelor, they're not really playing a big part. They're kind of just in the background there. So I thought that was interesting just to have her offer her wine. I don't know. It's like, I guess we'll see more of Rhaena and Baelor as far as the war, all that good stuff. But they mentioned dragons later too, and they don't mention mourning yet. They mentioned moon dancer, so I don't know if Rhaena has mourning yet. So we'll see what they do in season 2. They'll probably kind of skip that, and she'll just have mourning at that point. Anyway, so back to the Black Council. They plan for these envoys to find out who they're supporting. They're talking about Winterfell. Obviously, we're going to see Winterfell next season. I'll talk about that in a second as well, because I think they're hinting at a little subplot in the books as well with Sarah Snow there. I think that'll be cool for season 2. Again, Daemon mentions all the dragons. I just want to point this out. He mentioned that Sea Smoke is still at the Driftmark, and I thought that was interesting because, again, it breaks the rules, and I don't like it when they break the rules of lore. And I know this is all George R. R. Martin. He's fine with this for whatever reason, but if Laenor is alive, no one should be able to take Sea Smoke. So he mentions, I just thought I'd throw that out there, that he does mention Sea Smoke when he's naming off Arax and Vermithor and all these other dragons. So we'll see what they do with the whole Sea Smoke thing in season 2. Otto shows up. Let's see, wait a minute. I think yeah, okay, no, we're good. Otto shows up, which I thought this was a dumb move, but he shows up with news from Aegon, obviously offering terms. And then Damon's ready just to, if looks could kill type of thing. He just wants to end it there. And he actually, failed to mention that earlier. When Rhaenys tells her the news, he was like, "You were there. You escaped on your dragon. You're alive. Why didn't you burn him alive?" And he's got a fair point, but she's basically saying it's not my war to start. But it is truthfully speaking. Anyway, she goes up and rips off. She flies in on Cyrax, and you think, okay, but she rips his hand pin off, throws it out there. You're no more the hand than Aegon's the king. And then Alicent had sent her the page from the book she ripped the page out of in episode 1. So that was a good little touch, to play off their friendship. So that was one thing they did really good about this show was making it more complex with the friendship, because in the books they're like different ages. They're not really that close. So they had remembered that little part. That was a pretty good little throwback there to the book where she ripped open the page, and she had sent her that page. She had kept it apparently. So that was interesting. That gives her the level head to say, no, they'll have my answer tomorrow. Now, she's not going to give up or whatever, but the point being that she's not just going to immediately start burning people alive, although she probably will now at the end, obviously. Then we have the scene where they're in the room, and they clear the room, and Daemon and Rhaenyra are talking, and he says, she's basically saying, my being queen is more than just the realm and all that. It's about, the Song of Ice and Fire. And he's like, what? And then she starts talking about the Song of Ice and Fire, the threat from the north, all that stuff, and it just felt out of character, out of place a little bit. He's choking her, talking about his brother. So he's still, I'm not sure exactly. And thank you guys for the super chats. I'll see those. I'll grab them in just a second. So don't go anywhere. It just felt like it was just odd because he was really calm, saying you can't just let them take your throne. She mentions the Song of Ice and Fire, and he's choking her. And it's not that Daemon's some perfect dude. It's not about that. He is not a good guy all the time. But it's just like, it felt out of character in that moment or something. It felt like odd for him he's still a little bitter about Viserys, his brother, and her being the queen maybe or something. It's really kind of off to me. That scene felt off to me. When the rest of the scene, he seems fairly normal. He's on her side. He's mourning Visenya. But that scene felt odd. So I know there's a lot of discussion about that. We can talk about that in more detail. Then we get to Corlys is back. So Corlys has been missing for a couple episodes. This is a lot different from books as well, where he has been injured. He goes to Dragonstone, and he does end up. Rhaenys is talking to him, obviously, on his bed as he kind of wakes up, and he's kind of better. Fever broke, all that stuff. He had a wound to the neck. Rhaenys is saying, basically, you abandoned me. I needed you here, all this kind of stuff. And he was like, yeah, you're right. Let's just go back home and forget about it. But now Rhaenys has switched, and no, we got to support Rhaenyra because the heirs to Velaryons, or the heirs to Driftmark, her children, will always be at risk. And now they are kind of forced to support Rhaenyra, and she supports her legitimately because she's the only one in there level-headed, is basically what she was saying. So that was a good little scene there. So Corlys goes and pledges his support. Then they go over to talk about the envoys, the messengers. They're going to send Jason, Luke, and several people to Winterfell, all that good stuff, Storm's End, as well as the Eyrie. And they do mention Cregan Stark. And this is what I was saying about Season 2. When she does talk to Luce and Jake and gives them little details about, Cregan Stark and Boris Baratheon and all that good stuff, she mentions that Cregan is similar in age to him, and as men, they will find some common interest. So I do think that means they will probably go with the Sarah Snow route or something, because if you don't know what I'm talking about, this will be, I'll just give a really minor spoilery type thing as far as, thank you, Oz, I appreciate it. I'll grab these to say, I do see you guys super chat, so thank you. So I think what they have in common will be this bastard girl named Sarah Snow that he may or may not fall in love with, or maybe a marriage there. But apparently in the books it's said that him and Cregan become really close and they go hunting together and all this kind of stuff. So we'll see if they do that. So we'll see if they do the Sarah Snow stuff. So I won't go any further than that. So then we get Arax and Vermax and Luke and Jace heading off to Storm's End, Winterfell, the Eyrie, all that good stuff as well. We know it's going to happen. Obviously we'll get Winterfell next season. So it'd be cool to go back to Winterfell then, but we got a long way to go. And we see Daemon going to sing to Vermithor. Now, Vermithor is at this point in time, the second biggest dragon next to Vhagar. Vhagar is obviously the oldest. She's a mean old she-dragon who obviously didn't, who did her thing at the end. We'll get to in a second. But Vermithor was King Jaehaerys' dragon. So nobody's ridden Vermithor since King Jaehaerys died. And old dragon, very huge, second only to Vhagar at this particular time period. The third largest dragon in history as far as people know. So this will be where they start to recruit Jace and Daemon, and then will start to recruit dragon seeds. And a guy named Hugh the Hammer will eventually ride Vermithor. Very minor spoiler there. I think I mentioned that before anyway. So that's a pretty big deal. I'm not sure why Daemon's going to sing to it. I guess they won't introduce that character yet or whatever, but they will start trying to get these other dragons, as he mentioned before. And then we go to Storm's End, and of course Luke shows up. He's already kind of scared, but he goes in. He's a young dude. He don't have any experience with this kind of stuff. And Aemon is already there, and he's already shuddering. And basically Boros shuts him down, sends him home. As he walks out, Aemon says, "Hold up now. You owe me something. I want you to take out your eye." And pulls his eye patch off, as we talked about in the preview video, and shows the sapphire he has put in place. So that was really cool. And then Boros, as in the books as well, doesn't let them fight in there because he wants to take an eye and whatever. So Luke runs, hops on Arax, jumps in the air. This is the same in the books. They described it as stormy and all this stuff. It's like, dude, somebody's going to get struck by lightning. They should have. But that's the way it was. It looks cool. And you could actually see it pretty good. So I'm not going to complain about it. But then Arax doesn't listen. Like, he's telling him, like, listen, obey me, all this kind of stuff. And then Vhagar is chasing him down. And they went with the whole, oops, I didn't really mean to kill him type thing. But what did he think was going to happen when you're chasing a dragon? You're chasing a smaller, tiny, Arax is like a little bird to Vhagar. She just said, hell no, and just bit him in half and just swallowed him. The rest of them went flying down. It was very cool looking. Some of the shots were very cool, especially the shot where you saw the clouds above and the storm of the lightning, and then you saw the giant, shadow of Vhagar. It really, really looked good. Oh, we are at all sevens again. We were at 77, 800 or something. I don't know what happened, but pick your numbers, man. Make a wish, something. I don't know what the hell you do. So we'll talk about that in a second as far as the accidental stuff. And then at the end, Daemon gets the news, obviously, and tells Rhaenyra. And then she walks up to the fire. She turns around, and she is now the Black Queen. She is pissed. And this will set up the Beast Beneath the Boards next season. So really good episode overall. I had a couple problems. Again, the minor things with just minor things, but kind of bigger in the show as a whole is you had Alicent already. Oops, I misunderstood Viserys, my husband, and he wanted Aegon after all on his deathbed to be king. To give her justification to do that instead of just her wanting power, she can want power too. So I thought that was weird. And now you have Aemond who, oops, I didn't really mean to kill him. And again, there is certainly support. There's examples we have from A Song of Ice and Fire where dragons don't always listen. So that is not a question. There's certainly, we have it with Dany. Drogon goes where he wants. She describes it, as something like a sword without a hilt, I believe it is. With a whip, she uses a whip in the books, and Drogon doesn't listen. He flies where he wants to. We've had Balerion the Black Dread did it with Arya. Silverwing didn't go past the wall with good Queen Alicent when she was visiting the Night's Watch and all that stuff. But of course, we know why as far as that goes. White Walkers, all that good stuff. But Silverwing didn't listen to go. She wanted to go beyond the wall and just see the place. So there are examples in A Song of Ice and Fire of dragons not listening, but it's like, why? And Aemond is purely driven by revenge and all this stuff. So to make it accidental, I'm not sure I agree with that decision. I like the idea of giving a character more depth. Obviously, you don't want somebody just purely bad and purely good and vice versa. So I appreciate it, but Aemond is an asshole. And what do you think was going to happen to then go up? I mean, you're chasing a kid down on this tiny little bird, essentially, and then what do you think is going to happen? And then he's like, no, no. But of course, Arax struck first and didn't listen to Luke. I mean, I don't know. Very odd to make these decisions where things are happening all by kind of accident or misunderstandings. Again, 1 or 2 is fine, but I think it's kind of overusing it for those big moments. Those are big moments. You're talking about really, really big turning points in the story where Alicent decides, okay, I'm not going to support Rhaenyra. I'm going to support my son because Viserys changed his mind. And then you have Aemon getting first blood, because, Vhagar didn't listen. I mean, again, it's true. Dragons don't always listen. But Vhagar is a battle-ridden old dragon. In that situation, it doesn't make sense to me. You could say it adds another layer to Aemond, which, again, is fine. That's normally a good thing. But in this situation, it felt odd to me just to not let characters be out for revenge. Sometimes that's good enough. You don't have to have... I just wanted to scare him. Like, what did he think was going to happen? Exactly, Tania is exactly what I was saying. I do like the nuanced stuff. Believe me, I'm not like, I don't want the blacks to be perfect and everybody hate the greens. The blacks are not perfect people either by any means, but the nuance can be overused in these situations, and I think that's a little off. And I think that's people's main complaints about this episode. Obviously, it leaked early, so people were chatting about it. And it was the odd behavior by Daemon with the choke scene especially, kind of out of the blue. And then, which again, Daemon's not perfect. That's fine, but it seemed out of place. And then another big accident on a big pivotal moment that basically turns the story into full-fledged war. So now we have the Dance of the Dragons. She's pissed. If looks could kill, that would have wiped out the entire Green family when she turned around to the camera. So, anyway, there it is. There's your little mini quick overview breakdown. Let me grab these super chats really quick, and then let's jump into it. And Angels, thank you for subscribing. Angels Bane, thank you. Let me go back down here and try to get these in order here. I know you guys were dropping super chats while I was rambling. Lady Jen, thank you for becoming a member for 11 months. Thus begins the Dance of the Dragons, where there's SmokeScreen, there's fire. Thank you, Lady Jen. I appreciate it. Honey Barbecue Wings, super chat for 5. I agree. I don't like them giving the victim card and no accountability. Thanks for the content. Thank you. Appreciate it, Honey Barbecue Wings. I agree. It's almost like it's kind of an excuse for people. Alicent and now Aemon both. Like, use it once, okay, but not twice in big moments like that is kind of the thing for me. Louis B., thank you for subscribing. Lady Jen, again, for the super chat for 10. Thank you, Lady Jen. Appreciate that. Josh, thank you for the 100. Thank you, man. Thank you, Josh. Thank you so much, Josh Nubasad. Thanks for the great coverage this season, all the great content. Also loved you, Brooke. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the big dono there. Thank you, man. I'm glad you enjoyed the Crimson Gods. That's back on sale, by the way, on Amazon for anybody who wants to grab it. I think it's like $15 for the hardcover. And again, thank you guys for dropping reviews. I see a couple more popping in there as well. Oz, thank you for becoming a member. Really appreciate it. As well, Chicken to Jail, thank you for the super chat. Q&A, will we see the Isle of Faces next season? Yeah, we're definitely going to see the Isle of Faces. I don't know if we'll see the Isle itself, but we're going to see the gods out for sure, the lake, and we should see the Isle if they do the full story like we talked about with Sea Smoke, that's what the whole point with Sea Smoke. So Sea Smoke is still around, but we have to have Adam Valorian come in, Adam of Hull, who becomes Adam Valorian, to ride Sea Smoke. I just don't understand how he can do it while he's still alive. So we'll see what they do. It's like they're going to change the rules. Mama J, thank you for subscribing as well. And again, Angel's Bane. And I think that's everybody. I don't want to miss anybody. Super chat. Let me double check here. I believe that's it. Please let me know if I missed something, mods. I appreciate it. I think that's everything in my list. But anyway, so what do you guys think? What do you guys think of the decision to make it an accident or oops, my dragon got out of control type of thing? Again, there's no argument that dragons do that on occasion. The argument is here, was it the right place to use another accidental thing like we did with Alicent and the whole Aegon prophecy type thing? Let's see. Tom Bass said, I didn't realize the table could be lit from underneath. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, that was really cool. It was a really cool shot. It really looked good when they lit that thing up. I mean, the table looks cool by itself. Obviously, we saw it in GOT in Season 8, especially Season 7 and 8 when Danny and them go to Dragonstone, where they had moved it to the other room, where Stannis had it moved, I guess. So we don't really know. But when they have the thinner wood and the candles under it, really looks cool. Fabian, Team Black no matter what. No, I'm definitely Team Black. I'm just saying, I like the nuanced stuff, but let's not overuse it. Betrayed, King Valerians used to use a bunch of other things, magic sources, to make the dragons more pliable to their will. The practices seem to have been lost. No, I agree with that for sure. I do believe over time they've lost a little bit, but I do think there's still a magical blood bond there, and I don't think everything has to be verbal. I've said that during Game of Thrones and as did all the book theory stuff back in the day. I don't think you have to say Dracarys, for example, or Soves or whatever every single time. I think a lot of it is like you saw Rhaenyra, right? You saw her in pain. They feel your pain physically. There's a blood bond, a connection there that's, spans over distance. We don't know exactly how it works, but there's something there. It's at least hinted at that they will do what you're thinking almost, or what you're really thinking. So maybe, for example, let's just say that's the case. Aemond wanted to scare the kid or whatever, and he was just, he wanted just to get revenge and get an eye. Didn't want to actually kill the boy, but really in the back of his head he kind of did. So maybe Vhagar picked up on that type of thing with that blood bond. So there's definitely a loss for sure, Betrayed, of the magical things, which because they started marrying other people and all that stuff. The blood gets thinner as far as the Valyrian blood, all that stuff. So the king's blood starts to go away and the bonds get weaker and blah, blah, blah. So I do agree for that for sure. There's something to that for sure. But I don't think everything has to be they're making it in this show like everything, and they didn't do it every time, but like you heard Jace there, Luke, I'm sorry. Basically saying, telling Arax every single command, and usually it's just a couple here and there, whatever. But anyway, so what's up, Mazuma? Lord Kev. Lord Kev, yes. I'm glad you. Let me mention that Lord Kev texted me earlier before the show started, and I never saw this. So Lord Kev, all credit due to Lord Kev. He saw this first. I know it's already episode 10, really too late now to notice, but the splash screen on HBO Max, right? When you pull it up and it's got Rhaenyra and Alicent standing there and you got the dragon eye behind them, the slit in the dragon eye is actually the Valyrian steel dagger, the cat's paw dagger. And Lord Kev just spotted that earlier and sent me a text and a screenshot. Very cool. I never even noticed. I wasn't paying attention. So good catch, Lord Kev. I appreciate it. But you're saying... Vids, it all depends on how Aemon spins it when questioned about next season. I think he'll be proud or lie about it, not to seem weak publicly. He won't admit that his dragon didn't listen. Certainly possible, but again, in private, doesn't really matter. He'll probably say that to Alicent because now there's gonna be full out war or Aegon, whatever. Oops. Didn't listen, but then again, you're right. He may say, yeah, fuck it, I killed him, which I would rather him say that. I would rather him be just purely motivated by revenge on him and whatever it is. And I don't know. I'm not completely settled on it. I just think it's an odd choice, really mainly because again, I'm not a book purist where everything has to be like the book. I don't care. I don't care about that. But it's just that they use this with another decision, big, huge decision with Alicent and misunderstanding Viserys with the whole Aegon, the prophecy thing. So, Artful Watcher, the choke bothered me more than the Aemon regret. I agree. I think so too. I just thought it was odd and out of place, and I know I missed a lot of you guys talking about it when I was rambling on. So, please type out your feelings on the choke scene, the decision to make that an accidental thing. But again, what did he think is going to happen? And you got to remember too, to be fair to Aemond and any character for that matter in the show at this point in time, none of these people are experienced on fighting on dragons. They're just not. There's been no war. they're experienced in fighting dummies and training in yards with swords, but nobody's experienced on a dragon except for Daemon, and then Laenor, obviously, being in the Stepstones. And Laenor's gone. So, to be fair to Aemond, he's been riding around on Vhagar for years now, but never fought anybody, especially another dragon. So it's not like he knows exactly how she's going to react to him. But at the same time, what do you think is going to happen? What's the point of being on your dragon and chasing him down if not to... You're not going to get, jump from Vhagar, land on Arax, the tiny little bird dragon, and then take out the boy's eye and then jump back on Vhagar and let him fly home. I mean, what do you think is going to happen is my point with that. You know what I mean? I don't know. You're chasing the dude down in a storm with lightning all around you with a giant nuclear weapon. And, Arax Arax is like a little, I don't know, Tweety bird compared to Vhagar. So what does he think is going to happen? He's like yelling out, "You owe a debt." So what was he going to do? Like, what was his actual intention? Just to scare him? Was he going to chase him down and land somewhere and try to catch him? I mean, does that? I hope that makes sense. You get it. I hope that makes sense. So anyway, let's see. Chris Smalls, Daemon doesn't care about love or marriage. He cares about getting close to the throne. To some degree, yes, Chris. We talked about this before, but Daemon is more complex than that for sure. He does care about Rhaenyra, and I think he's shown his loyalty. He did care about his brother. That's where Daemon's been conflicted. He just felt like he was kind of pushed aside, and that's what adds to his character. But this choke scene was really, I wouldn't say out of character for Daemon in general, because he would choke somebody. I mean, no doubt about it. He is not a great person all the time, but he does have redeeming qualities too. It just felt out of place for me. Moni G, you're saying choke scene was disturbing. Like, what the what? Too far, Daemon. Yeah. It really just felt out of place and odd. Again, not that he's perfect, but what triggered him right there at that moment? Viserys, he was saying something about his brother, which she was simply talking about the Song of Ice and Fire, but he really didn't know what she was talking about. So I can understand to some degree, let's say, for example, that she said all that first, like, he didn't tell you, did he? And maybe that would trigger him to make him grab her and say, tell me what type of thing, because he was never really the heir, is basically. It would give him like a little more justification for being so pissed off where he would physically put hands on her. But it seemed to me that happened earlier, and then at the end she said, wait a minute, he didn't tell you, did he? So he was never really the heir. Amanda Taylor, I may not care of Aemon as a character, but the actor better be winning some awards for his... Yeah, no, he's really good. He really is good, Amanda, for sure. I mean, I like Aemon. I like Aemon as a cool character, and I don't mind, and I do like, again, the complexity that you can add with the show as opposed to books. But again, I'm just to kind of show that difference. Aemon in the books is motivated in that scene purely by revenge. He wants to kill the dude, and to make it like oopsie, I don't know. I think it's an odd choice, especially since they did the thing with Alicent and the misunderstanding, right, with Viserys dying. Dark Side, Daemon serves Daemon alone. That explains the choke. I mean, yeah, to some degree, sure. I mean, yeah, again, that's part of his character, and you can see with the rest of the episode, he's like just ready to. He's ready to fight. He's ready to go to war. He craves it, but he also believes that Rhaenyra would automatically go defend herself, because that was who he knew growing up and what he learned about her. He does love her and care for her, always has, but he just, I guess, assumed that she was it's automatic, like, we're going to burn shit to the ground. We're going to King's Landing tonight. And he was like, yeah, we have 14 dragons, they have 3, let's go, or 4, whatever. Let's go now, and we'll have all the Green's heads on spikes by the time the fucking sun comes up or something, or the moon, whatever it was. So there is that to some degree. That's how he gets his rocks off, I guess. Randy Sumatsu, the choke scene made me think Rhaenyra needs to put up with less crap. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what I mean. It's out of place for their relationship, though. Randy is what I'm saying. Like you never got a hint that Damon. Damon can certainly be distant. We've seen that with Lena as well, and he actually cared about Lena, and he was distant with her. So he can be that distant guy, like he was, like not going in there when she was screaming. Then he finds out that his daughter is stillborn, and he goes out on the beach alone. He doesn't like sitting there with her, but then he's like right there beside her at the funeral, supporting her. He takes the crown from Sir Eric and crowns her my queen, and he's the first to kneel. So he's very complex, but that moment just felt, not that he wouldn't ever do it, but that moment felt odd, is all I'm saying. Penn Muse, believe Damon was just trying to wake Rhaenyra up, saying they usurped you. Alicent has been after you and your family for years. I pledged my loyalty to you as queen, and so did others. Wake up. And I agree. I think for sure that's basically what he was saying. And they're like, "Are you going to do nothing? You can't let this stand. They are robbing you of your birthright." So he straight up said that for sure. Sarah Justice, Rhaenyra needs to stop making excuses for Damon, like he didn't tell you. Well, no, I agree with that. Yeah, there's no reason for him to do that. But like that's what I mean. It was almost backwards to me. It's like, what triggered him before she even got all that out is what I'm saying. So I don't know. It just felt off. Carlos, thank you for subscribing as well. Doc Holliday, there he is. I guess you're all third shift, man. Welcome back, Doc, for the finale. Thank you for a channel member for 42 months. Thank you, man. If you haven't read the books, which many viewers of the show probably have not, the accents aren't going to be as objectionable. No, that is true, but for sure. But how many can you do is what I'm saying. Again, it's not that it's just horrible. It's completely like throws, it's not anything like that. But two major things that turns the story into basically from families not liking each other and getting in fist fights to literally trying to kill each other based off, oops, I misunderstood. I think they've overused it. Use it on a smaller scale because it does happen. It's happened in real history, sure. But two big decisions, like two big pivotal moments like that, that's all I mean. But yeah, I guess that is true. I was trying to see. Kaylin K, the choke scene is all Damon. Ray, and Damon have a powered dragon dynamic. No offense taken when I watched that scene. Yeah, no, I thought it just felt for that particular moment out of place. Not that Damon, the character, wouldn't do something like that. I don't mean that at all. So I hope that's not what's coming across. Raphael, unsatisfactory ending. Really? You thought so? So what made it unsatisfactory? The cliffhanger? Would her turn or getting pissed? I'm not sure. What do you mean exactly? I'm curious, genuinely curious. LeVar, maybe the choke was symbolic because the baby was born with the umbilical cord around the neck. Maybe there was some kind of like blame there on her for that or something. It was just odd because she started talking about the song by Sapphire. He said what and just kind of started walking away. And then he turned around and said, my brother. I think he was still a little, I took it more as he's still pissed about his brother dying and he didn't get to say what he needed to say perhaps or whatever, even though at the end he did help him there. So that was a really good moment. We talked about that last episode, helping him up on the throne. He was never really the heir in his eyes, I guess, but he didn't really know that till she explained it afterwards, like he never told you, did it? You know what I mean? If they'd have did that first, that would have made a little more sense to me. John Haymaker, did the dragon eat Luke? Yeah, it looked like it. I don't think he could escape that jaw. The only thing that was left was anything on the outside of the mouth, a couple pieces of wing and a leg. Everything else is swallowed. So, yeah, looks like it. I mean, just Arax had no chance. That was just boom, gone, over, done. Like, damn. And we knew it, and you know it's coming. Like I knew it was coming for the whole season. I've been saying this would be First Blood as far as the actual war. Technically, Beesbury you could count as First Blood, but not really because there's not really a side. But like blacks versus greens, this is First Blood, and we called it all season. And you know what's coming. You can see it, and it's still like, damn, shit. I mean, let me just say, remember, not going to get any better. Oh, Raphael, okay, you're saying we never saw Allison unsatisfactory. Yeah, I think they kind of did this on purpose. It was you had episode 9, the Green Council, episode 10 being about the Black Queen or the Black Council. So I think it makes sense for the way they did the season. If you look at it as one big series, right? I think it works fine. You don't have to see, like, we didn't see Corliss for several episodes, and it makes sense because he's off injured apparently. Randy Sumatsu. Hey, thank you for the super chat, man. I hope this will last you 2 years. Yeah, I don't think so, Randy. I think we're kind of done here. This feels like the end to me again. Honestly, I was telling Kev this earlier when he was texting me about the cat's paw dagger thing. It's happened so fast. It feels like the end almost. I don't know. I can't hang on for 2 years. I can't depend on a TV show anymore, man. I just can't. I can't survive that way. So I don't know. We may do maybe next week we'll do like a season wrap up, one chat, whatever, something like that. We'll see. I'm not 100% sure yet. So I don't know. I've got to figure shit out here because I also want to talk about Rings of Power, but it's basically done. It's done now too. But I had a lot of issues with that lore wise and. They basically they hired 2 brand new writers who have no credits, no experience, D&D all over again, and they really screwed up a good thing. There was some really good stuff about it. I enjoyed it visually for the most part, except for Numenor was horrible. As far as I don't know, we won't get into all that now, but I kind of want to talk about that in maybe a live stream where we could just talk about the whole spoilery season. But anyway, because you see the Dark Lord behind me, you see Sauron back here. I've been really getting back to Tolkien, rereading everything, and kind of remembering a lot of stuff I've forgotten. So I'm really disappointed overall with how they did it. Just the writing was bad for the most part. Randy, thank you again. Thank you, man, for the membership. 42 months as well. If there's a SmokeScreen, I'm a member. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I don't know what beyond this. I mean, we have Witcher comes back and all those things, but those are never those are all like Netflix drops where they drop everything, and so it's really hard to do that. And we're going to have 2 years before I think they'll learn with Rings of Power. I think they can get better. I don't know if they can save it, but I think you can get better. And if you are just like don't know anything about Tolkien, it's probably pretty enjoyable for most people who don't know. And I don't mind new characters and bending some things because obviously you don't have a lot to work with. They don't have rights to the Silmarillion and the ending of that, all that stuff as well, and the Unfinished Tales and blah, blah, blah. But, still 2 years away for that and House of the Dragon episode or season 2. But hopefully we'll also be getting Dunk and Egg season 1. We'll see. I don't know. It's going to be a while. Paquita, thank you for the super chat. I think Damon thinks his birthright was taken from him, and at that moment he sees this is a moment to extract his revenge vicariously through Rey, not to mention being hurt and angry by Viserys. Yeah, I think he definitely still has those feelings. I believe you're right there for sure. But the thing about it is he knew that Viserys was he had sons that died, and so he never had a living son until Aegon in his second marriage. So he always kind of knew that. It was just like, yeah, I'm still heir right now because he doesn't have a son. But then he went through Rhaenyra, so there's still some of that stuff there as well, I guess. But it was odd. It just felt odd to me. I'll have to think more on it. Becky, the Crimson Gods was scary. No, Becky, it wasn't scary. There's like a very minor horror element in a couple chapters, but nah, I would call it. You think it's scary? Did you like it? I don't know if that means good or bad. I don't know. The Trey Key in the next season, The Witcher should be dope. We already have the backstory on her birth father. Yeah. Well, there's good reveal is going to be coming there for sure. Raphael, thank you, man. You host a good show. I hit subscribe. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I didn't see it pop up there, Raphael, but I appreciate it. Thank you, man. So the Crimson God has some wonderful sex scenes. There's a couple. I don't know if they're wondering. What's up, Joseph? Ashley, how you doing? If the last name is Valerian, going to die. Pretty much. Yeah, I mean, this is not going to be, look, Targaryen too, for that matter, except for a handful. This will decimate the entire family and dragons and whatever. So I said that early on, Joseph, in these chats, these streams and all that stuff we started was like, remember, don't get too attached to these people or dragons for that matter. Look, I mean, it's no spoiler that this is not going to end well because everybody knows what Game of Thrones is about. At that time, there hadn't been dragons around for 100 years. So it's going to be hard to watch sometimes. Diane Harris, have a good one. Happy birthday. If I didn't even see that, Diane. Happy birthday. If it's your birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Diane. Happy birthday to you. Good night, Diane. Have a good one. Thank you for hanging out. Happy birthday. If betrayed, yes, Crimson God. We're bathed in the blood of innocence. Something like that. Let's see. Bolting Vulture, what's up, man? SmokeScreen, my thoughts. Number one, Aemon is young Daemon. Yes, I agree. He was distraught for that he couldn't toy with Luke and Arax for longer. Number three, Vagar needs a tankard of Sundrop to wash down the munchies. Yes. I mean, just done. Yeah, no, I don't know, man. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, what did you think was going to happen, man? I mean, I guess the idea was to show a dragon is not a slave. We've seen that line, heard that from Danny, and all that stuff. But they didn't really show that much stuff in the show when she was riding Drogon. He didn't listen in the Dothraki Sea, obviously, but he was already like full and just laying around. He'd been flying for however long he flew. The idea, I guess, is that Aemon is inexperienced dragon fighting, and that he thinks because he's bonded with him and Vagar is his as far as the dragon, that she's going to listen to his every command or something. I don't know. MK Adams, this is true. Hashtag Arax shot first. Arax did shoot first. I mean, no doubt. And it's you should have shot at the rider, I guess, but because you can't burn a dragon with another dragon fire. But well, I mean, it doesn't feel great, I'm sure, but it's not going to really hurt him. You got to go for the rider, but Arax did, and they made a point to show Luke going no Arax, so. It was really smart of him, by the way. It was a good scene. It was really smart of him to fly down into the narrow canyons and stuff, and then Vagar was kind of stuck up, beyond really high. And it was a gorgeous shot. I mean, obviously he flew up above the clouds and storm, and you see the sun, and of course you get that moment of serenity, and it's all over. As soon as you saw the sun, it was like, oh shit, here we go. This is it. So I didn't know how they'd do it. I didn't know if they would do like a fire or like they did with just a big bite or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's probably makes the most sense if Vagar is not listening to Aemon. Excuse me. Oz, thank you for the super chat. Do you think the season should have ended differently? P.S. Been following you for years. Thank you for the hard work. Thank you, man. No, I think that's exactly how it should have ended, and I called that from episode 1. Oz, I did say that here on the live streams. That I thought season 1 would end with First Blood in the dance itself. So we got that right. I mean, not like I said, not some big, pretty easy to see, but I think it ended the way it needs to. Rhaenyra is going to be obviously completely furious and enraged now. So she had this level head for this episode. Not anymore. There's Sydney, the romantic Taylor down here. SmokeScreen, remember Viserys that said it's an illusion? Yes. Illusion that Targaryens can control their dragons. They didn't exactly show dragons being disobedient a lot in the show. Exactly. That's what I mean. So they said that, Sydney, for sure. He did say that. And remember, he rode Balerion one time and never rode another dragon. So before Balerion was already too old and couldn't really fly or get around anymore before he died. But he did say that, like, it's just an illusion. But it's really not. It's really not, because you're talking about a dynasty that's lasted thousands of years riding dragons. And exactly what Daemon said, dreams didn't make us kings, dragons did. Not that he was paying attention and heard the whole prophecy or even understands it, but he's not wrong. Do they sometimes not listen? Sure. But they successfully ruled and took over the Six Kingdoms, at least for a while, with dragons. So most of the time they do. Most of the time they do listen. So it's not like it happens all the time. I would say, just like anything, it's probably more experience. The longer you're with them, the more you bond. Like Betrayed King was saying, there's certainly some loss of some connection there, whatever magical blood thing that is. So there's some of that involved, I'm sure. We don't need to know all those details. Keep some of that mystery. But yeah. Jake from State Farm, thank you for the super chat. What's up, Jake? You better keep streaming, brother. I'm going to be sad. You don't want to make me sad, do you? Uh-oh. Now we just have to. Well, I mean, that's what I mean, though, Jake. So what are we going to stream about every week? I can stream every week. I can stream every day. But what are we going to stream about? Let's just create another talk show that's, I don't know. What are we going to do? What are we going to do here? This channel is it's 2 years, and because I've done all these other shows, and it's just hard for me to keep trying to depend on shows when I have to be realistic about things. We'll see. If you have ideas, be sure type them, shout them, text them, DMs, whatever. Because I would love to be able to continue to do this and grow and at least be able to survive and whatever. It just doesn't seem realistic anymore. We'll see. Lady Celtic, what's up, Lady Celtic? New book? Yeah, I do want to do that too. I've started book 2, and I've started the prequel book as well. That's maybe an anthology, but I'm not 100% clear on where I want to go. So, we'll see. Matt Tyler, thank you for. I'm sorry, no, Matt too, but Raging Cajun first. Thank you, Raging. Cajun for the super chat. I'm late, but auto coming to Dragonstone changed from the books that bother me. Damon would have taken. I agree, right? I 100% agree, Raging. Damon would have went straight and cut his head off before Rhaenyra got there. So I thought that was a dumb move for sure. You can send a raven. I thought that was stupid. I do agree. Matt Tyler, thank you for the super chat as well. I'm ignorant to the book, but is there anything to my idea that Aegon was treated better than Alicent? Aegon was treated better by Otto than Alicent could be a factor going forward. No, not really. In the books, Alicent straight up is about power, and that's what I mean. They're trying to make it, because I know they have this. There's a theme here of the patriarchy in that time period and women's roles and all that kind of stuff, which is fine. That's literally what the story's about, and to some degree, but they're making excuses for in the show, I feel like. And again, that's fine. I want her more nuanced. I don't think she's like just purely evil character and Rhaenyra is just purely good. That's not the way I see it at all. But this whole thing where she can't just want power is crazy to me, because she just wants her son to be the king, because it's her son, and that's enough. She had a chance to break up the patriarchy thing, or at least fight it, right, in that to some degree by supporting Rhaenyra. In the show, they did it like they did make her seem to be, still supportive of her to some degree, even when they met up that last episode and had the Last Supper. But she still wanted Aegon to be king. And again, she was used by her father and no doubt about it. So that's fine, and they established that, but she still agreed with it and made the choice. So let's stop giving her excuses. Is all I mean. Again, I don't mind some nuance there. I don't mind. It don't have to be like the book. Obviously, it's two different canons. I don't care. I'm not a book purist. I'm not a gatekeeper. I don't care. They can change it up. I think it's more interesting that way to some degree. But I just question a couple of those decisions about making excuses for people. They can just be bad people. Raging Cajun, serious question. Thank you for the super chat again, Raging Cajun. Serious question. How do we get you screeners? I have no idea. I got to be a big channel that's popular. And that's what it boils down to. If we were still in Game of Thrones season 7, 8 era, that era of this channel, I would be getting screeners and all that stuff. But I don't think it's fair. I mean, obviously I would take them and whatever. But it's not YouTube. It's not a level playing field anymore when half the people have screeners and can do their videos early because it's time sensitive and all that stuff, and then the other people don't. But yeah, I just have to be a popular channel. I'm just not anymore. It used to be. It was awesome. It's fun. Still is. Love these live streams and hang out with you guys and all that. But you got just it's just I don't know. I've never got contacted by anybody from HBO except for back in the day, Boston University, that wasn't directly HBO. Obviously, that was with Boston, but they were working with HBO, so I did that whole thing. That was cool, but I've never got an email or a contact because I don't get views like I used to. So, you got to be a big channel. They got people online noticing all these big channels that promotes their work, promotes their shows. And we were certainly a channel that did that for all these years, and it just died. Season 8 killed it. I killed it partially. I know I lost some passion for it to some degree, but something was going on way before Season 8 started. You can see it in the numbers. Like, when we used to do the charity. This was supposed to be a charity stream. Tonight was supposed to be a charity stream for sure. We were going to do... And, where the season finale of a Game of Thrones show will be a charity stream for St. Jude. Back then when we had plenty of views and growth and all that stuff, I could easily do that and still afford to live. And that's just the way it is. Betray King, House of the Dragons built is episode 10 is up. The House of the Dragons built. Is that some extended thing on the end of that? Betrayed, because when I backed out of it to start the stream, I noticed there was a lot of time left, but I didn't. Obviously, we'd have no preview for a season 11. For episode 11. Wee Man Sham still is. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Wee Man Sham, we're here. Thank you. No, believe me, I appreciate it. I'm just being realistic about the whole prospect of a 2-year wait, another long night. Remember season 7, and we had to wait like all that time for 8. That just killed us all. Yeah, asterisk. Typically, screeners have biases for the money in the end. Yeah, I agree. To some degree, there is. Even like if somebody would contact me from HBO and say, "Hey, we want to send you screeners. We see you've done these videos for years." And it helps promote it. Review our this will give you early access. I would certainly take it. And I know that there's other people that I know personally that get these screeners. And yeah, you can say for sure. Like I would be like, look, I'm going to be honest about it. I'm sure I'll like it anyway, but I'm going to be honest about it if I have problems with it. And I would always be honest about it. But to some degree, you're going to be biased because you're not going to bite the hand that feeds you. If they're sending you screeners, HBO is recognizing you as this, bigger channel that, can get the word out there and help spread the word and make them more money. You're not going to say too many horrible things. And that's what was happening with Rings of Power. You had Amazon got caught trying to buy good feedback for the show. Specifically with Nerd of the Rings. He's a really big Lord of the Rings channel, one of my favorite Lord of the Rings channels because he's really fair. He knows his shit, but he's fair about the good, the bad, and the ugly as far as the show goes, and a lot of good lore videos, all that good stuff as well. But once he said, hey, I'm going to be honest about it. I know there's going to be some issues. I'm going to be honest about it, comparing it to the lore. They ghosted him. So that's a real thing for sure. So, Gregor Smith, grading screeners may take some objectivity away too. Yeah, to some level it would. John Haymaker, can you do Dahmer live streams? I haven't watched it. We've done. I also supposed to mention too, by the way, John, and I think it was Betrayed. I believe you talked about doing like true crime. We did the podcast. I have a whole podcast channel. But James is no longer doing the podcast either. So I'm kind of in a weird spot. I love the podcast. I love doing the podcast, but I got to have a partner do the podcast. I mean, I can do them alone. Like James used to be on these streams, and, you know, I'm sure it's a lot more fun for sure. I mean, I understand. Us together is a lot more entertaining than just me just rambling by myself. So, you know, there's all that stuff, but I can't do it without him. And he's just not willing to do it right now. And then the scheduling on top of that, and there's some other shit going on, I'm sure, but, not between us. I mean, just life happens stuff. But, we hadn't done a podcast in months and months and months, and we did true crime. We talked about anything and everything. And that's what I loved about it. The freedom. We didn't depend on a TV show. And, that's the problem with this type of thing, you know, behind the scenes, obviously. Let's see. John Snow Rules. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you, John. I hope we get House of Dragon Season 2 in April 2024. Yeah. I do hope it goes back to April. Hopefully we'll get it by then, because I don't know if they started filming. They have started filming Rings of Power. Thank you, John Snow. Rage Occasion again. SmokeScreen fans flood HBO with emails for screeners. Yeah, but it's too late now, though. I appreciate it, man, but it's like it's over. Like, you know, the season's done. It happened so fast. It really feels like it flew by. You know, and this was our last little hoorah. You know, but I appreciate it, man. Yeah. Again, if it was back in the day and during the Game of Thrones days, we would have been contacted. I feel like for sure. But it just ain't what it is. It is what it is. It ain't what it used to be, I guess. Sydney, thank you, Sydney Taylor, the romantic. Don't buy the Alicent believes Viserys wanted their son to be king because earlier that day Viserys got out of bed to go defend his. I agree, Sydney. I agree. That's why it felt a little forced. Like, I thought that she would say that in public. Like, you know, Viserys told me on his deathbed that she wanted Aegon to be king. He changed his mind. But like in private with Kristen Cole or something, she should have said, I don't know what the hell he was saying. So I agree. I don't buy it either. But I think that's what the show's actually trying to say, Sydney. I thought for sure they would have her do it in public, like, look, I'm telling you this is what he said to me. And then, you know, in private, she'd be like, I'm not really sure what she was saying. She said Aegon and King, and was he talking about my Aegon? Or, you know, I just thought, but no, I don't buy it either. But I guess the shows, that's the way they're going. Joseph Ashley, yes, Rhaenyra had 2 kids die in the same episode. I think peace is not on the table anymore. Absolutely correct, Joseph. This will be now we'll see with Blood and Cheese. Again, I'm not going to say anything else beyond that. We'll see if that is Daemon alone, Daemon at all, or does Rhaenyra know about that as well. We'll see. I'm curious when we get to that in season 2. Hello, Isis Gonzalez. How are you? Season 2, John, is 2024. We don't know the month or anything like that. They're not even filming yet, to my knowledge. Dark Angel, Chris, you sound like you didn't care. No, I did. I actually loved the episode, Dark Angel. I just didn't like those couple scenes. Just mixed emotions on the couple choices they made, story wise. And I mentioned that. I don't know if you were here earlier. The choke scene felt a little out of place and off. Again, not that Damon's not capable of that. I'm not saying he's some perfect. Like, I know there's a lot of people chatting online about, you know, everybody just wants the blacks to be perfect and the greens to be enemies. No, evil or whatever. No, that's not how I feel at all. I thought that was just out of place for that time. And then the 2 choices now back to back where Alicent misunderstanding. Oops, I thought Viserys said King Aegon. My Aegon should be King, my son, as opposed to, trying to actually listen to what he was saying about the Conqueror and the Dream and trying to like get more information, whatever. And then now, oops, my Vhagar didn't listen, or Arax didn't listen for that matter on Luke's side. So I just don't like a couple of those choices. Not that, again, it happens. Dragons don't always listen, but but most of the time they do. I mean, if they didn't most of the time, you wouldn't have them ruling the 7. It'd just be a bunch of people scared of dragons. Wouldn't be riding them all the time. The Sir Pancake book club stream by chapters, Got or House of the Dragon. I thought about doing that before, but I don't know how much I could do on because I thought about can I read the books or something? But I mean, that would be kind of, I don't know, it's kind of dumb, I think. There's audio books, there's already that. I don't know if I'm interested in going back through books again with this story. I don't think we're ever going to get the end of Ice and Fire. Season 8 really kind of dampened all that. I don't know. It still depends on, I don't know, a show or I don't know. Andrea, maybe I can do a recap for all season. Yeah, I think we're talking about that, Andrea. You may do another stream next week just to kind of recap the whole season, just open Q&A, anything goes, and where I'm not rambling on with my little notepad here about particular points. We could do that for sure. Maybe I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens this weekend. Bob Fisher, Andor. I've seen the first 4 episodes. I didn't like the first 3. They were completely boring. The 4th one got pretty good. No, maybe I've seen the 5th one. The 5th one is where they actually. I haven't seen them actually go on the mission. I won't mention anything more for spoiler's sake, but I think it's okay. But I don't think I did Mandalorian. We did all those Star Wars shows, Obi-Wan, and I enjoy them. And I'll gladly live stream about them. But I'm not going to do videos on them and edit stuff because it's not worth the time. Moni G, I heard your geocaching podcast. Yeah, that was an old one. That was an old oldie but a goodie. There's been a lot since then. By the way, I'll throw it out there. I don't know if let me grab the channel because we moved over. We started doing our own the separate channel for the podcast, and if we can get this thing going again, so I'll just throw it out there to you guys, and so you can subscribe if you want. In case we start, but there's probably someone here that you hadn't seen for sure, because we started doing the latest ones on this channel. It's still very small. Let's see. Here we go. Copy that. But I got to move all the ones from this channel over to the new channel, and I started doing that when we were still doing it. I was like moving one a couple every couple of days or whatever when I could, and there's the podcast channel. But yeah, I can't do it without James, and so that's the problem. Yeah, no, I'm going to finish Nobi and Andrea. You're both saying about Andor. I'm going to definitely finish it for sure. I mean, I'm going to watch anything Star Wars. I just don't think it's I didn't think we needed it, an Andor show. And again, I'll watch it, Star Wars, but I don't think it's big enough to really do much more than a live stream about maybe. Bolting Vulture, forgetting a book canon for a moment, why didn't Luke hide out for a hot minute in a narrow? That's what I was saying, dude. I was saying the same thing. I was like, when you got down low in there, just stay. All you got, literally just stay down there. Just land, and Vhagar cannot fit down there. He would have had to eventually leave. I was saying the same thing. Even though I knew it couldn't end that way. I think he thought he was in the clear, and Dragonstone wasn't far away, and all of a sudden, boom. But yeah, no, I said the same shit. He could have, because he was smart to go down in there, right? Just stay. But we always Monday morning quarterbacking, we did was, ricking, zigzagging, and all this kind of stuff. Let's see. Jabba the Hutt to John Haymaker. Why did they make Aemon accidentally kill? Okay, y'all were having a, I'm sorry, separate discussion here. I don't know. It was an accident either. Dark Angel Vagar looks like God. She does. She does look like Godzilla. It did remind me of Godzilla the very first time I saw her. I actually like that they changed not every dragon's. There's 3 types now is what they're doing. There's 3 types. The standard type that we saw with Danny's dragons and like Sea Smoke, and then you have the Vagar / I guess Vagar, she's just old and worn down anyway, but then you have kind of the Cyrax version. I don't know if they have particular names. I guess they don't. And then more of the elongated version like Caraxes. So I think that's pretty cool. It has some different looks and personalities. That's one thing I'll say, too, about the whole season is they kind of, this is called House of the Dragon, and I understand we're going to get a lot more dragons. Believe me, you're going to get dragon fights, and we got some big battles coming. We got Tumbleton 2, and the God's Eye, and there's all these big battles with names, in history or whatever. But we didn't see a lot of dragons, if you think about it. I mean, they didn't get, it's like, almost like the dire wolves, right? You didn't even see, like, occasionally you saw, like this episode, you saw them flying, obviously, other than the Vagar thing, you saw them flying off to be emissaries or whatever, messengers. But you didn't even get a lot of those shots, like of just, dragons in the background somewhere. There should have been just occasional dragons in the air. But anyway, interesting. But I know they're going to have a lot of budget and CGI going to the battles now that the war has started. Jon Snow rules. Do you think we could learn more about the other shows and development giving House of Dragon success? Yeah, I think for sure. I mean, if they're going to wait 2 years, I think we'll hear we'll hear at least about either. My guess would be it's just a guess. I have no inside information. I'm not big enough to be contacted by HBO like we were just talking about. But I would guess that we will get a Dunk and Egg pilot order at least, and maybe the Jon Snow thing if they really figure out something to do with that. Because I think if there's any chance that they can take Jon, cause I'm not saying I agree with it because I don't know what they can do, right? But if they can take Kit Harington and get him back on HBO as Jon fucking Snow, and have some other actors come back and have some kind of story, and if there's any small chance that they can change a little bit about season 8, people would be all for it, and they may announce something like that, like maybe a pilot is ordered. Anyway. Yeah, Jeffrey Fulton. Yes, second, exactly. Chris, would you still like to know who the Night King? Exactly. That's what I didn't like Arya killing the Night King at all. I thought it was dumb. It was not set up that way. It was just to subvert expectations. It was horrible storytelling. And then she jumped out of like the darkness. There was not even a tree or a wall or nothing. But the important stuff was the Night King being a Stark, being connected to Jon too. Otherwise, Jon is not really the Song of Ice and Fire. They're pushing this prophecy so much, and again, it don't have to come true exactly. But Jon Snow is the Song of Ice and Fire, and you have to have the Stark side connection. So he obviously got the Rhaegar Targaryen connection. He's got to have the Ice side connection, and they didn't confirm any of that. I think that if I had to guess one character in the universe, again, without going into all that here for the sake of this stream, I still think that Brandon of the Bloody Blade could be a good possibility for the original Night King. Again, in the books, there is no Night King yet. There is, but the first White Walker is I guess, the more accurate term. They just kind of use the Night King from the Night's King, which is a whole separate thing, Anyway, so I would like to at least have heard that, Brandon Stark, Brandon of the Bloody Blade, one of the first, probably the founder of first Stark. I mean, coming from Garth Greenhand, all that stuff. We won't get into all that history here, but I think they could at least said that, something. I don't have to be right, just give us an answer. Mother of Dragon, what are we talking about here? What is this? Meg Paul Will. Chris is a man, and you know how men are. Start a football season, you think and you could be stark naked in front of the TV, and they'll tell you to move over. I don't watch football anymore, Taryn, by the way. I used to. But no, I couldn't deal with the Panthers, and they just they're already rebuilding again. I'm not getting into all that, but I'm not your typical. I used to be like so into it. They just broke my heart for so many years. I had to let it go. I just had to let it go. It's unhealthy, kind of like this YouTube thing. It's just unhealthy. Jon Snow rules SmokeScreen. I heard the 10,000 ship series was axed in the Sea Snake, but until HBO comments. So, I would not doubt it. I don't think 10,000 ships is a good idea. I really don't. I mean, for any book nerds, sure, you would love to see Nymeria and Dorne, but for the average viewer, I thought that was a horrible idea. There's too many other stories that can connect to God in some way. Even if you go dunk an egg, just knowing Aegon's name and a Targaryen, just knowing the name, knowing that she's Duncan the Tall is kin to Brienne, and knowing that, for example, Bloodraven, the Three-Eyed Crow, or whatever you want to say, could be in that show, would get more people to watch that show, and it would probably be the best show there is from all of these, in my opinion. So I've always thought that 10,000 ships is a little far-fetched for at least for like one of the first shows. So, Ungoliant, you don't know the power of the Stark side. We will see Winterfell next year. They did slam that down the table and mention it several times. So, be interesting to see if we get the Sarah Snow storyline. I won't spoil anything beyond that. I did mention it earlier, some minor stuff, but I'm just curious if they go that route with Jace. Sammy, if they don't resurrect Dany, they can bring 10 Kit Haringtons in the show. No, I agree, Sammy. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. But I think what I'm saying is, if people think that there's a possibility, Sammy, that they can at least, even if they don't show Dany, if people think they could at least hint at it, to fix something, to undo a little bit of what she did somehow. I don't really think you can, but I think it would be a bigger selling point for people because it's about money, right? HBO is going to do what makes the most money, and if you can bring Jon Snow back with some of these other characters like Tormund and Brienne and who knows, Macy Williams I think would come back. You have to have Sansa back. You got to have him go by Winterfell. I think people would. They're lacking. They're still, even with House of the Dragon, they're thirsty for Game of Thrones. There is a difference. House of the Dragon was outstanding, but it was still not Game of Thrones, even though it ended horribly, in my opinion. And it went downhill after 5. And again, I didn't have a big problem with some of the changes because I knew they were big beats given to them by George R. R. Martin and whatever. But it's still nothing will ever outdo that show. Its rewatchability up until season. I mean, it's hard to recommend it because of the ending, but there's so many characters and it's unbelievable to me still how somebody can take a book series and have such a faithful adaptation that was so good and end it the way they did, even though I know they had limited information. They just had the big beats of the book endings. But how did it go from that to like the worst ending ever? So, as good as House of the Dragon was, or it is, it's not Game of Thrones. It's just not the same caliber. It's not the same scale because it's kind of a condensed area. There's not the storyline's pretty straightforward. There's not all these other things going on that you can kind of switch over to. Really, you're just going between King's Landing and Dragonstone, and really two teams. So it will never be that. Jason Weeks, what to Jakar? You're talking about Jack and Hagar from GOT? Is that what you're asking, Jason Weeks? Yeah, who knows what happened to him? He just stayed over at the House of Black and White and kept doing this thing, I guess. See, that's something they could bring up if they do a anthology series where they do like 4 seasons of House of the Dragon for the Dance of the Dragons, which we're seeing this beginning of now, and then we get to the end of the dance, and then we have a new king and all that stuff. Then they can jump to different time periods. Then they could do maybe old Valyria, and you could see the beginning of the Faceless Men and that origin story. So they have a lot of opportunity here for a lot of different time periods. So we'll see what they do. John Stowe, what would be crazy if Winds of Winter releases between seasons 1 and 2? Yeah, it would be, and it probably won't happen, John. You just gotta be realistic about it. We'll probably get the Winds of Winter in the next, I don't know, 3 years. I mean, it's just completely a guessing game now. But we'll never get A Dream of Spring. So will it really matter? Because what you're going to see in Winds, you're going to see some differences, but you're going to see what you already saw in season 6, right? So essentially, season 6 was the outline of the stuff that he had done for Winds, and maybe some stuff that from Crows or whatever, depending on how they rearranged it. So I just don't think it's ever going to happen unless he has some plans to have somebody finish it for him. I don't think he's interested in finishing the books, which I think is a ridiculous decision. I mean, again, I don't know that. I know he's working on it. I'm not saying he's not. But I think if you want to be like Tolkien, you have to have finished books. It doesn't matter how successful your shows are. If you don't have finished source material, you'll never have Tolkien's legacy, ever. You just can't, because it's just like, well, that's what happened in the show. That's the ending. No, Joseph, we're not. We're not going to get him. Jeffrey Jerem should just combine Winds of Winter and Dream of Spring into one book. Well, that's the problem, Jeff, is remember, it's supposed to be a trilogy, then there's supposed to be 5 books and 6 and now 7, because you cannot get but so thick from a book. So remember, the reason we have Feast for Crows and A Dance with Dragons is because that was the same book they had to split apart that happened at the same time. So when you're reading Feast for Crows and A Dance with Dragons, that's all happening at the same time. That was the same book. They had to split apart because they cannot publish something but a certain thickness with so many words. So, yeah. As a matter of fact, with the way he does it, you may have Winds of Winter with stuff that he needs to take out and split up, and it becomes 8 books, That's certainly a possibility. 1 second. Keep dropping things. Anyway. Yeah, John Stone. No, he is. I mean, he's right. He's not on the show. Like, he's not writing for the show. People kept saying that he wrote this episode. That was a lie. He hasn't written anything for this show. He's just like in contact with him every day, and maybe he approves some things or whatever, or gives his thoughts. But he's not writing. He is actively working on Winds of Winter. It's just what I mean. If you watch, the whole idea with 7 seasons of GOT, which is what they wanted originally, not 8. So they basically took the last 2 and split them up. Was 1 season per book. And so the equivalent, again, there's some overlap. I'm not saying there's not, but the equivalent of season 6 of Game of Thrones is the Winds of Winter. So we know Jon dies in the end of 5. Dance of Dragons, Jon's laying there dead still. In the books, as far as the books goes, he's been dead for 12 years. Season 6 would be your Winds with Stannis, and there'll be some things different, obviously, but the major beats will be there. And then, there's some crossover there, obviously, for TV. But, yeah, I mean, there you go. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I really hope he does. I do. I just think he's so – I mean, you could if you read his blog, he's got too much shit to do. He's got way too much shit to do with TV stuff. I know he says he's working on it, and then again, he doesn't owe me the books. He's not my personal writer. I'm not yelling at him. Just stating it's just facts. Meg Paul John, it's called a mission at this point. We're past thirst. We passed thirst 14 comments ago. What did I miss? I'm sorry. Shelly, how's my dog? Are you asking me, Shelly? Are you talking about Riddick? Riddick is good if you're asking about Riddick. He is laying right here. He's just chilling beside me. He's snoozing good. Hair's starting to finally grow back a little bit from all the shaved spots from surgery. But he's doing good. He's still he's got a shoulder issue now in his front shoulder. His rear legs are getting pretty strong again, but now his kind of front shoulder is messing with him a little bit. He's got a cold because he's on this medicine that suppresses his immune system for that lupus crap. So he's feeling. I mean, he's okay. Don't get me wrong. He's having a tough time sometimes, but he's overall compared to what it was, it's good. It just feels like he's getting old quick now. Like he was like still. Before this whole thing happened up in the mountains a couple months ago, he was still really young and running hard and jumping and just all that stuff. I mean, he'll be 9 here in this end of this month in just a few days. But he really felt like I was saying this earlier. It felt like he's gotten old in this last couple months, really quick, because all these little issues that are kind of the side effects of medication and all that stuff. So, but he's doing good. Jabba the Hutt, we need Blackfire. Yeah, that's what I mean. If they go, they could definitely jump to those time periods if they do the anthology, which is I think that's the idea they're going to go with, but I don't know if they'll follow through on it. So they're going to do 4 years of this time period, and then they could jump and do 2 years here or 4 there. They could go back to the Conquest. They could move forward. They could pick up with Aegon the Third and move on from there, and then they'll get to the Blackfires and all that stuff. So they could certainly do all that. I think they can cover the Blackfire stuff, though, in Dunk and Egg if they get that far. Moni G, I'm not as surprised he used to be. No, me neither. What is it, bud? All right, guys, give me one. I know we normally do like the preview. Is there a behind? What was he saying about behind the scenes? Let me go let him out really quick. I hear somebody talking. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if is that one thing short enough to watch. I don't know. I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm missing something here. What is that? I don't know what that is. Doc, thank you for the super chat. Meg desperately wants to know if you thought the baby had dragon scales. Okay, I'm sorry. I did see that earlier. Thank you. Riddick. Hey. I looked. I didn't see any scales, and she didn't make it like it was anything other than kind of. I saw something odd on its skull, maybe, but I didn't see. Any scales. So I'll have to. It was kind of a hardcore scene. I didn't really care to look, but I know that was a book thing. That again, it's always a rumor though. Like Tyrion had the same rumor almost. Dany had the same thing. Born with wings and a tail. I didn't see any of that. I saw maybe something going on with its skull, but it was only, again, I don't know if they changed the time period or whatever, but yeah, it seemed only 4 weeks away. It should have been completely normal, but I couldn't really tell. I didn't see any scales though. Nobi had horns. Okay, I didn't see any horns or scales or tails. There was something going on with its skull, I guess. It seemed to be. Damn baby had scales, a bumpy head, and was missing a damn leg. So some people were saying it had scales. Most people were saying it don't. I didn't see any scales. Wendy, preemies don't look different. Not most of the time, unless there's other issues. I've had them. For the most part after that, I mean, you're talking about just 4 weeks early, a month early. They're completely formed for the most part. Just usually it's just like lungs and stuff like that remaining. I mean, some I'm sure do. Don't get me wrong. Halloween live stream. I don't know what I'm doing on Halloween, Dark Angel. Usually I'm over at my cousin's house sitting by a fire, but I don't know exactly what day that's going to be because Halloween's on a Monday. We're not sure if we're doing it Sunday or Monday or whatever. I have no idea. But used to just stream on Twitch. Dark Side tearing the pediatrician of Westeros. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't pause it or nothing to look, but there was something going on, but I didn't see skills. Jirish, what are your thoughts on the Eamon and Helena relation? There has been a theory about Helena's children being Eamon's. What happens with blood and cheese would be justified if that's true. I've never thought that. I've never really put much thought into it, honestly. I know that's a theory. It's certainly a possibility, and I wouldn't put that past Eamon, but I also just don't. I just think that Aegon is just a man whore. He's just a whore anyway, so why would he not just have a bunch of kids? He's got a bunch without her, so I don't know why they wouldn't be his. So I don't know, but I don't know if it justifies anything. It wouldn't be justified anything. It wouldn't. Yeah, that wouldn't justify anything. That's all going to be about revenge. And again, I'm not going to get into spoilers there. Yeah, I saw that, True Seeker. I did see the umbilical cord for sure around its neck. Jabba the Hutt, will Aegon the Conqueror show have threesome scene? Could, but it said that Aegon loved one for love and the other for power, because they were two completely different women, Visenya and Rhaenys. But I've always wanted to see them. They would have to nail that, man. That's one big risk right there. You do Aegon the Conqueror, they got to nail Aegon and Rhaenys and Visenya. They got to nail them. They got to be perfect, or it's not going to be well received. There's been too much stuff about it. All right, give me 1 second, guys, and Q&A. Did Aemon take Helena to Pound Town? I mean, it's certainly possible, but Helena being in this show, remember, I think they're basically making her out to be autistic, so I don't know. I mean, obviously we're not seeing that side of the bedroom stuff. But I mean, I don't know. He would, but I don't know I don't think Helena would be into that, and I don't think Aemon would do anything forced upon her. I don't think he's that savage. He does support his brother, so even though he knows he'd be the better king, or he thinks he'd be the better king. All right, give me 1 second, guys, and I will be right back, and we'll just we'll take a few more questions, wrap it up, whatever. There's no previews to watch. I don't know. It's kind of sucks. No more previews, but there's Tim Blackburn. What's up, man? Hell of a season, HBO and the SmokeScreen channel. Appreciate it, man. Welcome in the last episode. But yeah, give me 1 second, guys, and let me put this on here, and I will be right back. Alrighty. Stop that. All right. I just saw on Patreon. Okay, where'd it go? I just lost it. From Rafi C on Patreon. Hey, Chris, after watching today's episode, it just breaks my heart. The story is so good, and then I remember watching Game of Thrones after season 5. Everything went downhill. I guess we had high expectations for the ending. Yeah, it was so bad. Just talking about dropping the ball, but anyway, we've talked about it a million times. All right, before we get out of here, any final thoughts or questions or concerns? Did I miss anything here? Hopefully I did not. Think we're good there. Meg Paul, he's handsome for sure. I'm just so overseeing him. Seeing him can fan cast his every role in every project. Oh, Henry Cavill, Buns of Steel. Yeah, I knew he was coming back as Superman, and now, of course, Black Adam's out. They'll be fighting sometime. I have not seen Black Adam yet, but I know that's going to happen. Mark Clark, what's up, Mark Clark? Please press the like. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. What's up, R.N. Smith? The guy who plays Aemon was good in Last Kingdom. He's a good actor, man. Yeah, he's playing Aemon well. I like. He's always got that. I can't even do it. He's got the little smirk. Jon Snow rules SmokeScreen. If this franchise gets more series greenlit, they'll call it the Martin Cinema. Yeah, no, that's what they're trying to do. I mean, for sure, they're trying to do like a cinematic universe. People are thirsting for this stuff, and fantasy in general. I mean, that's what I mean. If you had Rings of Power, for example, and it was just like a generic fantasy show, I think it would be okay. It's really hard even. Because I try to separate things in my head like from book canon, and again there's things you can loosely, and obviously things have to change for TV. It's a whole different medium. I understand that to some degree, but when you twist and break the lore, just straight up break it, it doesn't jive well, and it's hard to separate that if you know the lore. You know what I mean? And this story is just. They kind of just had a bunch of fluff in there, and I don't know, not to get into that, but I need to do a separate thing and talk about some of that stuff. What's up, Hoonjive? There he is. I didn't see you, man. Majesty so return his Halloween costume. P.S. Lady Sandra is a Bolton. R.N. Smith, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the 20. Thank you. It says, thanks, Chris. Thank you, R.N. Smith. I appreciate you. Zara, thank you, Zara, for being a member for 35 months. Aemon looked like he regretted killing the smaller dragon. Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier, Zara. I don't know if you were here. I don't know if I like that decision because Aemon is motivated by revenge, and he purposely killed him in the books. And again, I'm not a book purist. I do like the idea of adding nuance to characters and all that stuff, and you don't have to have Aemon be purely evil like Daemon or something. There's whatever. And I'm not also, even though I'm on Team Black, I don't think that they should be perfect and all the Greens should be complete assholes. But now they've taken, and just to recap real quick, they've taken the two big moments and made them mistakes, and I don't like that. I think it's odd to me. It's an odd choice. Trey King, was the message of episode 10 to reaffirm the currently unreasonable rates of senior citizen insurance by citing ridiculous examples of elderly being irresponsible? Yes, exactly. I mean, it may have been. There may have been some little message. The message in there, the Trey King, about Vagar. Vagar's old, but look, the way they went with it and did it, Iraq's fucked around. And you know what they say about that, as much as you fuck around is how much you'll find out. So that's what they went with. But I mean, Aemon going from "you owe me, bastard" to "no, Vhagar," whatever. Betray King, what's with the 3-headed green dragon? Yeah, I don't know about it should be a golden dragon. I don't, as far as sigils go, I guess for the show they're doing like the greens officially, because it's not an official thing. It's just a name that people say, the blacks versus the greens, but there's no official anything. And then Aegon takes the golden dragon. He takes the same thing and just turns it golden because he rides a golden dragon, Sunfire. But it should have been a golden dragon, right? I mean, but they've not really established that yet, I guess. Maybe they should have in his coronation, where he took his personal banner as the gold dragon and established that, and then we could have heard him run in there and say, "Hey, we got a ship coming with gold dragon sails." It'd have been a little more accurate there, but whatever. Chicken to jail. Luke forgot his safe word. Yes, he did. The last thing Luke saw was Vhagar's asshole. I'm sorry. R.I.P. Luke, but I'm just saying that's the last thing he saw was Vhagar's asshole. I mean, he just went so deep in there. That was it. Shelly Arena, you're so much fun. Love checking you out after a very long night. Thank you, Shelly. If you're talking to me, maybe not. Yeah, exactly, Jason. Oops, the war was a mistake. Let's start over, please. I mean, what do you do, right? Christopher Clark, Ryan Condo implied in the after show. See, I still have to watch this too. In the after show review, that Aemon didn't necessarily mean to kill Luke, and he has a dragon ride back to King's Landing to think about owning it or not. Yeah, that's what somebody was talking about earlier, that he'll probably go back and say, like, in public, like, yeah, no, I killed him, which I think would be the smart choice, I guess. But still, us knowing, the audience knowing, oops, I was just trying to chase him around and scare him. And like I said, what was he going to do? Was he going to just fuck with him for a while? Was he going to try to literally catch him somehow and like capture him and take his eye? I mean, he went after him with a dagger. I don't know, man. It's weird. Meg, why do you think they were flashing to Rhaenyra's dragon during the birth scene? To show the connection. That's what I thought was odd, Meg, is because they're showing that connection and how strong it still is, even though, like Betrayed was saying earlier, and I was saying, they've certainly lost something there when it comes to the bonds with dragons. But they showed it with that scene. Like, she was screaming, so they showed Cyrax screaming. They're like you saw, for example, when Daemon made the Kingsguard, or the Queensguard now, swear fealty to Rhaenyra again. He brought Caraxes there. He didn't have to say a word. He just said, swear fealty and you'll die with honor at some point in this war coming, basically. But if you don't, you're going to die screaming. And he didn't have to tell Caraxes anything. He'd have to, launch some high Valyrian commands at him. He knew with that connection, that blood connection, that blood magic, whatever we're calling it, what he meant. He was there. If he would have said, Dracarys or whatever, obviously he would listen to that, but he would have knew exactly where to aim that. You know what I mean? It's not like there's not a connection. So it's I don't know. It's odd to show that, and then all of a sudden dragons don't listen. But again, I want to make sure I'm clear on that. There have certainly been times where dragons are not listening. Danny mentions it. It's really the only real reference we have. But history, in these history books and stuff like World of Ice and Fire, etc., Alysanne and Silverwing. I mean, Alysanne wanted to fly beyond the wall. Silverwing said nope and wouldn't fly past the wall. But now we know why now, right? We know after Game of Thrones that it's because there's a White Walker thread up there. There's something that Silverwing sensed. So it wasn't like purposely not listening to Queen Alysanne. It was like, no, there's some danger up here. But then, of course, in Game of Thrones, Drogon and them just fly right up there. So anyway, there's certainly been those instances where dragons don't listen, but to make it now where two dragons didn't listen at the same time, and it just made it real convenient. I don't know. What's up, Bang Bang? Dark Side Droid, this is a good question. I was going to actually mention this earlier. My question is, how did anybody find out he died? The books, I believe, if I remember correctly, people around the area they heard dragon roars and flame. They saw some flame or something in the sky, and they saw a dragon falling. I don't know if they saw Luke himself. And then investigated or whatever, because they're very close by, like Dragonstone and Storm's End. But they saw what happened essentially from a distance, and then went and reported it or something. So you don't know exactly who or what, but that's how that was implied in the book anyway. What's up, Kristen? How you doing, man? What's up, Matt Gio? Q&A, did the wall exist during this time? Yes. The wall has been up for thousands of years. It was built after the first Long Night, where the White Walkers were somehow thrown back by the last hero and all that stuff, right? So, yeah. Now, you've heard a couple times in this show, I'll do something or I'll send you to the wall. I think somebody said that last episode. So there's been a couple of references, but we haven't seen it, obviously. Bolting Vulture, General Song of Ice of Fire Q&A. Implications of Laenor faking his death. Is Harwin Breakbones actually dead? Was the kid's bones brought to Daenerys actually burned by Drogon? Is the Quentin Mars still alive? Yeah. Okay, so Laenor, I like that Laenor survived, but I don't like that he didn't go whisper to his mom and dad, like, look, I got to get out of here. You know, they're sitting there suffering, thinking he's dead. So I don't like that. Like, come back and sneak in, Driftmark sometime and see him, tell him what's up, and whatever. What I don't like about it is smoke. Is Sea Smoke. I was gonna say SmokeScreen. Be a good dragon name. Sea Smoke is now sitting there without Laenor, but should not be able to take another rider because there's still a connection to Laenor. He is alive. I don't like that aspect. They're breaking the dragon rules. Breakbones is certainly dead for sure. I don't think he escaped that. That's my opinion. And I do believe, you're right, I do not believe that the kids, I think that was goat bones or whatever, because Dany herself was not sure in the books. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just not really a spoiler. You saw it in Game of Thrones, kinda. They did kind of the same scene, but that's why she locks Viserion and them up, because she thinks that they're starting to kill random I guess goat herders and stuff like that. So they brought these bones in front of her and said they killed my child, but she's not sure they were human bones. So I don't think they were. But that gets her to lock them up. Quentin Martell, who's a character we did not see in Game of Thrones, which was a dumb idea anyway, not to include him and Aerion and those people. With the whole Dorne plot line, goes over there, and yes, he's dead. He's burned alive. He might still be hanging on. I think if I remember correctly, he's wrapped up or something. But he's dead. I don't think he's coming back. We gotta make room for Fagon and stuff and all that. We can't have everybody going after Dany. You gotta get rid of some of them. So I think he's dead. He's deader in hell, as we say. All right, let's see. Q&A, Meg, did you think that Rhaenys didn't bow? I had a hard time gauging her true emotions. Yeah, I think she really did support her at the end. Like, she saw that she was being level-headed and whatever, and she basically told, when Corlys said, hey, we're just going to go back to Driftmark and be with our grandkids and fuck all this war stuff, then she was like, nah, now we got to get into it. Now we got to support Rhaenyra because she's the only one keeping these people level-headed, and she's the only one. And then, of course, they go in there and pledge their support, and then she's sitting there right beside her, smiling, saying, I'll be flying around the gullet myself, which she actually does. So we'll see if she gets more involved next season with Melees. It was she's kind of seeing herself what could have been in Rhaenys, I think, now is the idea. So that's the way I took it. Multiverse, I'm going to go and be sad about the Yanks for long winter. Oh Lord. Matt Gio, Q&A, when's the next Dead by Daylight stream? I did Monday. I'm going to try to get back to Twitch some, I think. I mean, I took a little time, just this whole online thing has really been bugging me, the shit out of me. But I was a little burnout on the game a bit. I don't like some of the changes. We'll see what they're going to do, but no, I need to. And Becky. And cold shower, says Doc. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Sammy, a 2-year wait is absolute it is. It's so I don't understand it. Why not set? I mean, come on. You know what you're doing. You got the show greenlit. You know it's going to be a success to some degree. I mean, Miguel left already, so he won't be a showrunner next year. But he always said he's not going to do another Game of Thrones 10-year thing. So he just kind of saw it off to a good start. It'll be fine without him. He can still direct episodes. I think Ryan's the main writer anyway, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Bang Bang DVD gets worse and worse unplayable. Yeah, there's some things I'm just not digging. But I mean, I'm playing a little bit of this event. I got to catch up on the event stuff. I'm behind on it, so I'll probably play in here in a little bit actually. But Matt Tyler, see, this is what I mean, Matt, right here. Good question. If Cecil doesn't accept a new writer, would that still jive? Yes. If he doesn't accept a writer, that's what needs to happen. I don't want to see somebody just get on Smoke. I mean, look, it's some small thing, and you could just say, well, maybe he just forgets about him. Maybe he's an SOS in such a long way. Maybe he thinks he's dead. Maybe, but he's not. And it just breaks the rules. These are very specific things, and that's what I mean. When you go and you break these, and again, George R. R. Martin's involved. He can do what he wants. So it's just a thing where like you're doing it for convenience, because you decided to keep Lenore alive for whatever reason. Some people think that was a kind of political thing or whatever. As far as the decision to keep him alive, not actually kill him, I think it's fine. I'm glad he did. I'm glad it was more like, but you still killed a dude. You killed an actual dude who's innocent just to keep him alive. So what was the point? Whatever. So yeah, if he's alive, Smoke shouldn't be involved anymore. But we got to make room for Smoke to be ridden anyway, is what I'm saying, because you have Adam coming, I believe. And hopefully we'll see the Isle of Faces with that. So anyway, Meg Paul is kind of hoping we see a little bit of Dragonseed's search action or Jace's visit this episode, just like 10, 15 minutes more show would have been perfect. Yeah, they could have definitely maybe had Jace at least showing up to Winterfell, not even starting the conversation, maybe just kind of being greeted or something, just to see it again. A little bit of fan service maybe would have been nice. Just start that conversation or something. Maybe you see like Sarah Snow standing there. Just you don't even really have to have a conversation. You could have had, instead of Daemon going and singing to Vermithor, you could have had, hey, let's go find anybody with white hair type thing or something, just to hint at dragon seeds. They did mention the unridden dragons, Daemon did, so they kind of said it, kind of sort of, but not really. Neff, Darkside dragon seeds are basically Targaryen bastards. That's just what they call them. There's a lot around Dragonstone. There's Corlys has other kids too that are his. This will be one of them that are supposedly Laenors, but they're not really Laenors. They're Corlys's. So any Targaryen bastard has the potential ability to bond with a dragon, obviously, because they still have the blood. So they should have at least mentioned that. I guess. And we'll definitely see that, obviously, in season 2. That's when when Jace comes back. He's the one in the books anyway that says, "Hey, we got to recruit more dragon riders." And Daemon kind of mentioned this episode, so we'll see. We'll see. we'll see how they do it. But they, because Nettles is going to be, we got to have Nettles. Nettles is coming. I'm sure it's going to be, I guess season 2. I would imagine. So Nettles is a big deal. We got to see her nettling that dragon and getting her name. So that's cool. So a couple little things would have been nice, but that's fine. I mean, whatever. Maybe we'll get a full Winterfell scene and get to revisit some old places. All right. Anyway. Yeah, Jason. No, yeah, go get the boy from the fighting pits. We don't know where they all come from, but there's a lot on Dragonstone. You got to remember the book Dragonstone is much bigger. The island seems very small on camera. There's lots of little settlements and ports and towns and stuff around, and Targaryens wander around and they have kids, so that happens. But anyway, we'll get out of here. Let you guys go. It's a little past 12. Let you guys go to bed, all that good stuff. Start your weeks. I don't know what we're going to do around here. Honestly, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out every day. I'm brains fried thinking about it, honestly. But I want to figure something out, but I can't keep doing the same thing expecting a different result. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about it all. I don't know what we can do for 2 years and then depend on another 10 weeks. It's kind of just silly if you think about it. But, hey, Yvette, we're getting out of here, but I'm glad you stopped by. Yeah, overall, really, really good season. Really good overall. Just some minor things like I mentioned before and all these streams that I questioned. Nothing I really hated, I don't think, too much. I don't think it was anything like over the top, like, just a couple questionable decisions and a couple also of like, look, I know Ice and Fire stuff like from Ryan Condal where they mentioned things that just seemed weird. So some minor little writing things, but yeah, overall it was great. Good story. Now we're getting into the meat of it here. This season was essentially all set up, what they had to do, which is an important part of the story. I'm not saying it was all set up, but you know what I mean. But night or morning, good night, Wee Man Sham from Ireland, 5:16 a.m. I guess good morning to you. Thank you for hanging out. But thank you, everybody. Thank you again for all the super chats. Let's see here. Zara, RN Smith, Doc Holliday, Raging Cajun, John Snow Rules, Raging Cajun. Again, Matt Tyler, Jake from State Farm, Oz. Sharon for subscribing. Paquita for the super chat. Randy Sumatsu for the super chat and membership. Carlos for subscribing. Doc for the membership. Jason Weeks for the super chat. Nolan Saints for the super chat. Mama J, Angel Baines, and for subscribing. Chicken to Jail for the super chat. And Oz for becoming a member as well. Josh for the big super chat. Lady Jen for the super chat as well. And then I believe Miss Ava for subscribing. LeVar for the super chat. And then Lady Jen for the membership. And Honey Barbecue Wings for the super chat as well. And Louis B for subscribing. Thank you, guys. We'll see what happens next week. Maybe we can wrap up the season, do a little thing or something. I may do like a kind of style video like this, talking about Rings of Power for the whole season, the good and the bad and the ugly. I don't know. Maybe it's too late for that now. I don't know. Maybe we'll get some news on some new stuff. Maybe they will announce, like we were talking about before, the other stuff coming for the Ice and Fire universe, as we're calling it. But thank you, guys. Appreciate you guys for hanging out this late again. Maybe see you next week. Not sure what's going to happen. Don't know. I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen on the channel, but I'm trying to think of something. I don't know how we reboot this thing, but we'll figure something out one way or the other. But appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.